The equation that destroys civilization. The fall of Rome is an event that has spawned thousands of books and even multi-volume sets. But every empire has been analyzed in a dozen or more different ways. But all this tells us is that the process by which a civilization collapses is not well understood. The underlying assumption other authors make is that if every civilization, culture and empire is unique, so must its fall have unique components. But there is only one reason why empires rise and one reason why they fail. This reason can be summed up quite easily by a simple equation. Indeed, the entire history of man pivots on but two inversely related factors. How these factors are manifested will be different at different times and places, but behind the unique elements the same interplay of two factors will be seen. The interesting thing is that the centrality of these factors cannot be disputed. The importance of these factors in bringing about civilization is, in fact, the most obvious truth one is likely to encounter. However, to make sure we understand what is being said, and its importance, you are asked to confront a common lie. Despite the claims made that the world is suited for life, the world is not suited for your life. If you tried to live, using just what the world provided, in the form it is provided, you would have a very uncomfortable life. It would probably be short. We need to process the natural things of Earth, to make them more suitable for human use. This can be as simple as cooking our meat before eating or as complicated as building a civilization. If we add no value to the world and simply live off of its redundancy, meaning the world's inbuilt and natural surplus. Subsistence cultures take what nature does not need to repopulate itself. But at this level, we compete with all other life forms. The world has a natural replenishment rate. We can only reap what is surplus to this. Like all predators, we can only survive at a level that does not deplete the food source. At the subsistence level, humans exist as parasites. Nature is naturally parasitic. The only time most predators give back to the earth is when they die. The earth has a limited carrying capacity. This capacity is defined by the natural rate of regeneration. There is a ratio between consumption and regeneration that, if exceeded, begins to decimate what in economics is called our principle. If our usage begins to eat into the regenerative capacity of the food supply, regeneration will collapse. If in 1 year there is a famine, and we eat the source of our food supply's repopulation, things will get progressively worse. It is an easy matter to see that if we overfish a lake, the fish will not be able to reproduce at a rate that will keep us supplied with fish. Our catch will be smaller both in the quantity of the fish caught and the size of the fish caught. In the end, we will be catching fish before they have time to spawn. And so human civilization was limited until we discovered a way to increase the productivity of nature, through agriculture and then industry. But many people have yet to duplicate the achievements of the West. But the West was not without its problems. Much of the energy we produced went into creating and equipping armies. These waged wars of conquest. Armies killed and pillaged. This is the lowest form of parasitism, and these things still occur. War and armies are always parasitic. Armies are incapable of producing what they need. Armies are parasites, but they are often needed to thwart other parasites. If we understand the church as the value added to the things of God, then armies do not add value. They defend what has been created and they pillage what was created by others. However, their main goal is to destroy the ability of the enemy to wage war. However, armies fulfill a role, and the cost of an army is generally supported willingly, as is the cost of the justice system. Governments are viewed as a necessary evil, and they attempt to make themselves useful by redistributing the nation's wealth. This generally means taking money from the gainfully employed to give to those who are parasitic. However, it makes them look useful. The fact is that if we all worked and earned what we needed to live, if no one exploited anyone else but paid for everything they got, we would not need the state, armies or the justice system. It is when someone becomes parasitic and other parasites try and reduce the impact, that the problems start. The worker is not permitted to deal with parasites directly. However, this reliance on the state is not the biblical way. Despite what many think, the world did not evolve through the working of natural law. Law did not cause nature to come about. Truth is not relative. We are either self-supporting or free riding. The line of demarcation is as clear and as precise as the difference between a profitable and non-profitable business. Therefore, there is a simple equation all human societies are subject to, and which explains clearly and simply why some people civilize and others remain moribund. The equation is C/I1. The more closely consumption matches or exceeds industrialization, the more unlikely will a civilization emerge. No business, family or state can last if consumption exceeds earnings. If we link consumption with depreciation or the gradual decay of all things, as an entropic constant, which is the rate of investment needed to maintain the infrastructure of a nation, it is possible to see that even when everyone is working, if the proper investments are not being made, at some point the civilization will collapse. It is not hard to see that if the state wishes to legitimize its existence, it will have to add to the benefits it provides every year to freeloaders. From basic help with childcare, to help for widows and medical expenses to abortions, education, housing and parental leave, the average government will constantly add to the layers of social benefits it provides, and once provided, benefits are almost impossible to eliminate. This is the creeping scourge of socialism brought to you by big governments, who need migrants to create a new layer of parasites. This is no different from a tribe fishing from a lake that has a limited capacity to regenerate. At some point the productive capacity of the system is overwhelmed. Not only can the system not produce the same level of benefits, the constant pillaging of the industrial base begins to destroy the source of the benefits. Infrastructure starts to crumble, businesses go broke or cannot pay the wages and benefits they need to pay to attract good people. The willingness of some to work and benefit others declines. Over time, the level of greed means the system is no longer supported by enough persons to make it sustainable. It erodes from within and from without, as external influences eat away the resources. Parasitism can only grow if left unchecked, especially through the agency of government. No state has any productive capacity. No state has anything to give to compensate for what they take. Therefore, the state has no other recourse but to bribe people to vote and support them. Therefore, the consumer side of the equation is impacted by a factor that forces it to grow, over time. The impact of the state is somewhat suppressed if the productive potential of the nation is high, but then the more productive industry is, the more the state is tempted to provide unearned benefits. It is this need to supply more and more unpaid benefits to parasites that dampens the productive capacity of the nation. Once we understand the degree to which the country is infested with parasites, compared to its level of productivity, the more we can understand the forces that destroy civilization. The higher the parasitism as a percentage of the industrial output, the less likely the nation will last as a civilization. Naturally, a nation with low levels of productivity and high levels of parasitism will never civilize, and one that is civilized will, over time, find consumption surpassing its ability to produce goods. The ability to outpace consumerism to create high levels of civilization is tied to the rate of industrialization, and that is tied to a certain time in our history. This period of history, and this rate of industrialization, is not likely to arise again. We lose our Western civilizations, and they are gone for good.